The announcement of Sonic X Shadow Generations has been absolutely mind-blowing. Sonic Generations is honestly the Sonic game that got me to be a fan of the series. I've played and even enjoyed some Sonic games prior, but Generations was such a captivating and fun game, which is why it's great to see it finally coming to modern platforms like the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 5. Alongside a new Shadow campaign, which is excellent, as we haven't seen anything from the character in years almost. From what we have seen of the game, it's looking to be pretty good. The Shadow stages look fun and seem to take after the fun stage design of Generation, rather than something like Forces or Frontiers' awful cyberspace levels, which, trust me, is a blessing. I mean, we even got the drop dash in Generations. That's crazy. What the hell? I honestly thought it would just be worth it to go through and predict what we could see from this remaster or expansion, as unlike the absolute shit stain that came before it, this is looking very promising, and it has a lot of potential. Starting with what we already know, Generations is upscaled, and that's pretty much it. I have heard complaints about this, but honestly, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Colors Ultimate was a victim to forceful change, and look where that led. It's also worth noting that we are getting new additional skins for Shadow and Sonic Generations, which is great. Judging by the description of the game on PS5, it's possible we could see more content for Sonic Generations, which could mean new levels, but realistically I think it's just skins. Though if they had to add a new level to Generations, it should probably be one from like Sonic CD, most likely Stardust Speedway. I know the Metal Sonic boss fight already uses Stardust, but the Silver fight already uses Crisis City, and that didn't stop it from being a stage. It's also possible we could get a stage from Mania, maybe something like Mirage Saloon or Studiopolis. That would be pretty cool to see in 3D if you ask me. Now enough about Sonic Generations. Shadow Generations is where most of the change is coming, as it's being treated as a whole new game entirely. Kind of in the same vein as Bowser's Fury from the Mario 3D World Switch remaster. From what we know, the playable stages in Shadow Generations are Final Rush from Sonic Adventure 2, Rail Canyon from Sonic Heroes, and Kingdom Valley from Sonic 06. The issue with Shadow is that he does not have that many playable appearances, at least not as much as you may think, so the chances of him having the same amount of stages as Sonic are very low. The only other games Shadow is playable in are Shadow the Hedgehog, which will definitely get representation, Sonic and the Black Knight, and Sonic Forces. This brings our total to like 6 stages, one from each game, which sounds like a realistic decrease from Sonic's 9 if you ask me. If I had to pick a stage from each game, I'd go with Westopolis for Shadow the Hedgehog, as I know it's a safe choice, but honestly, it's also the best choice, as it's a decently iconic stage coming from a Sonic game that's not even that popular. And besides, I'm gonna be honest with you, as someone who's played and beaten Shadow the Hedgehog, I can't name one other stage. Maybe that pinball stage. That sucks, but that's about it. For Sonic and the Black Knight, I would probably go with Camelot Castle if we're being safe, as it's the most iconic stage from that game, and probably the only one most people remember. Though I remember Shadow being the only good character to use in Shrouded Forest, so that's a contender as well, I guess. And with Forces, I'd probably pick Sunset Heights, since it's a cool looking stage and represents Forces pretty well. And its only competition is a water slide in Green Hill, so yeah. Now for the boss fights, we already know BioLizard is one of the bosses, and we realistically will probably only get something like 3 or 4 boss fights, one of them being the final. But just to make things more fun, let's just pretend each game gets its own boss. For Sonic Heroes, I should probably pick Egg Emperor, since it's one of those bosses Shadow could actually fight. But I'm instead going to pick Metal Overlord, or whatever he's called, because he looks cool, and he isn't already in Generations 3DS. For Sonic 06, I think Mephiles would be a great choice, since that's the first character Shadow meets after beating Kingdom Valley, and because Sega should just admit that he's Time Eater already. For Black Knight, I think it should be King Arthur. I mean, there's an argument for Merlina, but you can't really fight her as Shadow, so I'm going to go with King Arthur, and he represents the game better anyways. And Forces should probably just be Infinite, as that's the only option, and as much as he sucks, it would be cool to see him in a good Sonic game. And last but not least, I think Black Doom should represent Shadow the Hedgehog as the final boss of the game. I honestly think that's a great ending, unless they want to go with the whole Mephiles being the final boss and turning into Time Eater, which is canon, I swear on it. We also know Shadow's campaign will have like a open zone hub world, which is pretty cool sounding. I think they're going to take a lot of notes from Frontiers. Maybe they'll make it kind of like a jungle gym where you have obstacles and you can like fly off and shit, kind of like in Frontiers. not as big, maybe like test stage size, not like an open zone entirely. And I think that's where you're going to find your objectives and shit, kind of like how you find the cyberspace gates and frontiers. They're just kind of scattered around. I think that's how it's going to be for the open zone hub world, which sounds cool, honestly. We're also getting a bonus level for Shadow Story in the holiday, and if I had to take a wild guess on what that would be, it's probably Flame Core or something. Maybe another Shadow the Hedgehog level, or better yet, an all-new original zone. We're also getting an extra skin. I think that's going to be Sonic Adventure 2 Shadow. Maybe Hero Shadow, who knows, one of those classic skins, kind of like how Sonic got one. And yeah, those were just some of my predictions. All I do know is that I'm really, really looking forward to this game. I already know it's going to be a great remaster and new game package. It's pretty clear Sega's learned their lesson from Colors Ultimate and the first launch of Sonic Origins. I do hope they actually add new stages to base generations, as that would be pretty cool, but I'm not betting on it. Though I do think Shadow's campaign will be promising. Who knows, they might even add more than I predicted. You never know. So yeah, those are all the predictions I got. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh yeah, and just to remind you guys, Mephiles is Time Eater, and if you disagree, you're wrong!